Welcome back to the programme. Russia says more than 1,000 Ukrainian Marines have surrendered in the besieged port of Mariupol. Flames were seen billowing from the Azov-style giant steelworks where the Marines had set up defensive positions. But a top advisor to President Zelensky said the Marines had joined up with the Azov battalion, which meant that Mariupol was still standing. The mayor of Mariupol says some 21,000 civilians have been killed in the southern city and 100,000 are still awaiting evacuation. Meanwhile, satellite images have shown more Russian forces moving into eastern Ukraine in preparation for an expected offensive in the Donbas region. President Biden has said for the first time since the war began that evidence appears to suggest that Russia is committing genocide in Ukraine. He warns it's becoming clearer and clearer that Vladimir Putin wants to wipe out the idea of ever being Ukrainian. Dan Johnson sent us this report from Lviv.
The ruins of Mariupol are symbolic of Russia's devastating bombardment. And now, the city's last defences may finally be about to crumble. Russian TV says these are Ukrainian Marines surrendering. The pictures aren't verified, and Ukraine's denied Russian claims 1,000 soldiers have given themselves up. Russian forces are gaining more ground. These pictures were filmed with their troops at the theatre where so many lives were lost. The mayor says it isn't even safe to count the bodies anymore. He estimates 21,000 residents have died.
From the 9th of March, Russian military planes were targeting our city. And since then, they have been doing this. You can see that.
Kharkiv's also been under bombardment, and Ukrainian officials say evacuation routes aren't safe enough to get residents out today.
Mr. President, have you seen enough evidence?
The US president's now clearly stated how seriously he views the Russian invasion.
I called it genocide because it's become clearer and clearer that Putin is just trying to wipe out the idea of even being able to be a Ukrainian. And the evidence is mounting. It's different than it was last week. The more evidence is coming out of literally the horrible things that the Russians have done in Ukraine. And we're going to only learn more and more about the devastation.
There's more heavy Russian military equipment coming over the border into eastern Ukraine, along with extra troops. Fresh attacks are expected. And these British volunteers have driven from the UK over the border from Poland to deliver aid and help the resistance. Simon's been in touch with a friend in Kharkiv.
I said, what's going on? And she goes, you don't want to know. She goes, it's awful. We've been bombed all night. And she sent me some videos and I was just like, I'm in. I said, I'll quit my job. I'm in. I want to do something to help you, help your friends, help your family and help Ukraine.
The cars have been donated to Ukrainian charities, but also military units.
The last trip out here, the vehicle I drove out the next morning, that vehicle, we had a photograph of it on the front line, being used literally within 12 hours of our arrival for what they wanted it for.
After our victory.
And Ukrainians are certainly thankful.
We are waiting for all of you in Lviv here. Please, come here to Lviv. We will feed you after our victory. Come here, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Victory party here.
But before any victory parties, it looks like there'll be more fighting. Dan Johnson, BBC News, Lviv.